New monsters, new bizarre organisms are making themselves known every day. Let's see what researchers have discovered recently while exploring the deep blue ocean. An alien creature with 20 arms was discovered in the Antarctic Ocean. You thought aliens were only in outer space? They're actually a lot closer than you think. This new addition to the very new crinoid family is called the Antarctic strawberry feather star. Crinoids are a branch off from an even older species dating back to over 300 million years ago. But man, are they terrifying. They are also nicknamed sea lilies or feather stars, and with this new one added to the bunch, it takes the alien look even farther. The difference between sea lilies and feathers is that the lilies will connect themselves to the ocean floor, while the feathers in this case will abandon their stalk and forever float and swim through the deep. The reason that this one received the strawberry nickname is because it has an eerie strawberry-like face at the very top. How do you feel looking at this creepy thing? Never before seen harmful bacteria was discovered floating in our oceans. Even worse, these creatures might have been the origin of another harmful disease that nearly everybody has. As they looked even further into this discovery, they noticed that it is a bizarre hybrid of Duplodnaviria, which also includes a very specific disease that humans carry, and Veridnaviria. What these mean, I don't really know. But it did baffle the scientists that it was two diseases combined into one. The researchers claimed it to be very extremely unusual group of harmful bacteria, but they're actually good for our ocean. They invade the plankton in our seas and help in regulating their activity, keeping them from going overboard in a way. But by doing so, they release carbon and nutrients out into the water that they are going to be helpful to other cells. The circle of life, yin yang, all that jazz. The Bigfin squid made a new starking appearance 20,000 feet below the ocean surface. This breaks a previous record that the species used to hold, 15,400 feet. And now we are learning even more about this elusive creature. It was found by complete accident too. While researchers were searching for an old World War II ship, they made this discovery of the now deepest swimming squid in the ocean. With more answers though comes more questions. This was a young Bigfin squid, meaning that these creatures more than likely choose to reproduce at such insane depths for reasons still unknown. The pressure down there is horribly strong. How are they able to survive in such harsh environments? Some are saying that the species possibly evolved themselves to create more offspring in a safer environment that we know of. If the Bigfin squid is able to survive these depths, who knows what other creatures are hiding in the darkness. A new deep-sea predator, a giant amphipod, has been discovered in the Atacama Trench. This has been dubbed as the largest amphipod to ever exist, the Duchibella camanchaca. Although it only measures 4 centimeters long, it is considered a giant compared to the others. The researcher also nicknamed this creature Darkness, a fitting title for a tiny monster that likes to lurk in the shadows down below, hunting its next meal. It's a shrimp-like crustacean, with appearances being seen as low as almost 8,000 feet below the ocean surface. An amphipod's name also means both feet. They have several types of legs that aid them in majority of things, like walking, swimming, and digging. This top-of-the-line amphipod predator is constantly in search of others within its own species to eat, darting and swimming around extremely fast. Because of Darkness's new discovery, it may be a part of its very own genus. This horrifying glob of disgusting goo was discovered off the Gulf of Alaska. When they first spotted it at the bottom of the ocean, they thought it was just a pile of garbage that originally came from us. However, when they examined this strange blob, they noticed that it was actually, to quote, biological in origin. It was found at 3,300 feet below the ocean's surface and only measured to about 10 centimeters wide. At first, they thought the teared opening indicated that it was probably an egg sac or something, but it wasn't until they brought it above the surface that it was its own living organism. One researcher stated, "While somewhat humbling to be stumped by this finding, it serves as a reminder of how little we know about our own planet and how much is left to learn and appreciate about our ocean. So much left to be discovered." The deep, terrifying depths of our oceans harbor the most terrifying secrets in existence, and every day we're being proven more and more that we know nothing about this planet. Let's check it out. A discovery of dark oxygen makes researchers rethink the origins of life. The ocean is filled with all sorts of organisms that help continue the flow of oxygen within our oceans, plankton and algae as examples. However, when it comes to the deep sea, where light is unable to penetrate photosynthetic organisms, the biggest speculation was that it could only consume the oxygen rather than produce their own. It wasn't until a group of researchers that were using sensors to read the ocean floor at 13,000 feet did they notice that their equipment was picking up false readings of oxygen. When they tried to get them fixed, thinking they were faulty, the answer that they got back was that they were working properly. There, at the bottom of the ocean, was an area producing oxygen without the need for sunlight. This just completely unraveled the majority of what we knew about the origins of life. A flying spaghetti monster was discovered off the coast of Chile. This pink-legged, squishy little ball of pom-poms is actually a new species in the siphonophore family, and it is extremely carnivorous. This funky-looking creature was spotted 4,000 feet below the ocean surface. It gave a wonderful little performance to the researchers as it shook its little milky white arms to the camera. If you know anything about siphonophores, they're actually a group of organisms called zooids, not necessarily one animal. Each little zooid performs their own little function. Some will eat and devour, others focus on the movement, and then some focus on reproducing. With this new discovery, we are being reminded every day of the new creatures that have yet to be discovered way down below. Who knows how many other weird-looking siphonophores we have yet to unmask. Would you ever want to meet one of these little guys? A new Sassy Sparkler uses protein to shimmer like the stars. This creature is what's known as a sea worm, absolutely dazzled the internet as an overglam toilet scrubber. It's a part of the polychaete family, and the majority of them are unfortunately more disgusting looking than our glamorous friend over here. These species of sea creatures are also the tough cookies. They survived 5 mass extinctions and are actually speculated to have a lineage that has been around for over 505 million years. But during this time though, they've evolved into over 10,000 different species with their own little quirks and abilities, and it's really giving scientists a hard time to figure out where it starts or where it ends. And with our little sparkler over here, who knows what else we'll discover. There are some species within this family that can also go without oxygen for 96 hours. Try holding your breath for that long. Scientists just discovered coral that's bigger than the blue whale. A videographer was trying to capture some really cool footage of the Pacific Ocean. On accident though, he came across this bizarre looking structure way off in the distance. It was a ginormous coral bed that researchers speculate that it must have been at least over 300 years old. However, the diver also felt quite emotional about this encounter, stating, "I felt this huge respect for something that stayed in one place and survived for hundreds of years. Wow, this was here when Napoleon was alive." The goal of the video was to show the effects of climate change and how it was impacting our oceans. So you can imagine where this emotional charge was coming from. Especially with coral, it is disappearing at an alarming rate, and they are so incredibly important to our ocean's ecosystems. So to see one bigger than a blue whale pop out of nowhere, maybe there's hope left on this planet after all. There is a Venus flytrap living underwater. Not a real Venus flytrap, but it certainly eats exactly the same as one. A new mystery mollusk was discovered off the coast of Chile deep within the midnight zone. It was scouted at 13,100 feet below the ocean surface, and its body is completely transparent, allowing you to see all of its cool but nasty internal organs. It coined the term Venus flytrap because it eats with the weird sac on its head. It will open and close just like the plant does when an unsuspecting victim swims right into it. When it feels threatened though, it would also shine a bioluminescent defense mechanism to keep predators away. They're also speculated to carry both genders. Since their home is so far beneath the surface, it's a little harder for them to find love down there. So they'll take what they can get when they can get it. What is your favorite deep sea discovery? Let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to talk about it in the next video.